Hey Omar, thanks for joining me today. You've taken on a new role on the OneDrive team. Tell us a little bit about your role today as it stands in engineering.
Great, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's really awesome to be here. So a couple months ago, I stepped into a new role running the program management team for the entire OneDrive and SharePoint team. It's an awesome team. I'm super excited. I feel like I've spent a couple years in the OneDrive team really learning the enterprise space,
Right.
learning our customers, their needs, and so it's great to kind of step into a role where I have an expanded scope and get to kind of help the team itself in a broad number of different areas.
I was saying to Jeff earlier that we've released well over 100 new features this year, and 43 of those were driven by user voice. It's amazing. I can't think of another team at Microsoft that has been that in touch with our customers and what they've said. How do you feel about that and the work that your team is doing and really listening?
I'm really proud of it. I think it's incredibly hard to actually listen well to all the different communication channels and feedback that we get from customers. User voice is a really important one, but we also have App Store ratings.
Right.
We get information from support. Your team brings us a lot of valuable information in the field. But user voice is the way our users can directly connect with us. And a couple years ago, we sat down and really thought about what kind of contract we wanted to have with our users. And so we just sort of wrote down some community rules around items over 100 votes would get an acknowledgement from the team. We're pretty honest about saying whether we're doing something or not doing something.
Right.
That level of transparency at Microsoft can cause some people to be worried about maybe oversharing our plans. Maybe our competitors are looking at that and paying close attention. But I think at the end of the day, it allows us to be more authentic with where we're taking the product and giving users a place in defining where we're going to take it.
Right.
And sometimes that's worked out really well. Sometimes there have been some tough suggestions and issues over the years. But I think in general, we've managed to keep that a healthy place for us to have a two-way conversation with users.
So engineering, I always look at, it's kind of like a thread. If you pull from one end to do something, something has to come off.
Yep.
And that's tough. So I think my first question is, how do you do that? Then second, how do you balance evolution versus revolution? An evolutionary feature, which is one of those things we have to have, versus something like iMessage sharing, which is super cool,
Yep.
but not something everybody was asking for. How do you sort of look at that from the top down?
That's a really great question. I think balancing all the ways in which we think about investments in our product is fun and challenging. There are things that happen in the industry. Apple will release a bunch of new features. Microsoft will invest in some new technologies. Google in the Play Store will invest in new capabilities. And we really want to have deep capabilities for our customers wherever they're doing their work. At the same time, we sort of take an annual view at our investments, and like once a year, we really think deeply about where do we want to be a year from now, and with that lens, we kind of look at our partnerships internally. How are we going to partner with the Office team, the Windows team, the Cloud Enterprise team? What are our ecosystem, opportunities, and what are our user voice requests? Where are we getting feedback from customers? And so I'd say it's a little bit of introspective. Where we look inward sometimes just to kind of think about what did we do well last year,
Right.
and what do we think is area for improvement, or maybe this is an area we invested in, but the usage isn't there, the feedback isn't there, and so maybe that's an investment we wind down.
Sure.
And obviously, your team, the product management, plays a big role in helping us think about how OneDrive fits into the broader Microsoft ecosystem around Microsoft 365, and really develop the narrative, because I think a really powerful thing for a product is where the marketing story and the narrative is really aligned to what the product does.
Yeah.
And really teasing out places where your team wants to put it somewhere in a year, but we're sort of trying to figure out if we're going to be able to actually authentically deliver. I think that's a place where we have a lot of great conversations inside of our team with you guys.
Absolutely. So all the features, what are some of the features that we're announcing this year that you're really most proud of or most excited to finally get out to our customers?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think Files on Demand is clearly like a tentpole feature for us and for Windows. It's one of the first times we've released a feature so early in its development and worked with our customers to really prove out its capabilities using a lot of telemetry and feedback, which has been awesome. I think
40 million files hydrated
Yeah.
by 1 million Windows insiders.
It's amazing.
As part of, that's just a mind-blowing number.
And it's a stark contrast to the work in Windows 8, 8.1,
Yes.
where we didn't have that community of users and usage so early in the process. So I think it really means the quality of this feature is going to be extremely high. I'd say the next feature I'm very excited about is the work we've done in sharing.
Yeah.
I've worked on OneDrive for a long time, and making sharing simple is one of the more challenging problems to solve. And it's not something I think we'd really achieved until this Ignite.
Yeah.
Where we both make it easy for you to share internally with your mom or your dad, or share sensitive information with somebody who works in a different organization.
Yeah.
And making sure IT policy and requirements are not just set in one place, but are communicated to the end user, so they understand what's happening and what they can and can't do. And so I think the sharing work is going to be breakthrough for us. I think we've delivered some innovative capabilities that are sort of unmatched right now. And then I'd say the third thing I'm really excited about is the work we've done to bring the files experience in OneDrive to a lot of different Microsoft experiences, such as in SharePoint. You can have a rich file preview experience and a number of SharePoint experiences, such as in News, and also in team sites and communication sites, but also Microsoft Teams. We're using Teams a lot in Microsoft.
Yep.
A lot of customers are using Teams, and one of the things people do in Teams is share files.
Yeah.
And so we've invested in a deep partnership with Microsoft Teams to make sure that experience is powered by OneDrive and SharePoint.
Yep.
You've got all the same great preview capabilities. It's fast. You can load your files easily, have conversations around them. And so I think those three areas are pretty significant milestones for us.
Absolutely. And I think with sharing, what I really like is now the ubiquity. Whether you're on a Mac or a PC or on the web, it's that same experience. We're bringing that now into Office, so you're going to have that same experience there. And now the file previews, which I love, 277 different previewers, which worked in web, now works in files on demand, and now with the update to the mobile app, we'll see in mobile, that's great to be able to see a file without even having to have that application loaded on your device.
Yeah, absolutely. We get feedback from a lot of people that work with design agencies, for example, and they're creating Illustrator files and Photoshop files and TIFFs, and they're sharing those with their customers, and they don't have the apps installed to view those files, or even, let's say you want to organize those files. The file names don't tell you anything about what's in the file, and so I think our work to bring preview capability to not just Adobe file formats, but medical imaging, 3D images, really make sure that OneDrive can power all those file experiences anywhere you look at files.
Absolutely. What are the big areas of investment for the next year? As you start to look at, this is awesome and we're excited to show off what we've done, but we're back to work next Monday. What are the big areas that over the next year, the big rocks that you want to move and that you're going to encourage your team to really dig deep into?
I'd say one of the biggest is just realizing the potential and opportunity of OneDrive. We have a lot of customers using OneDrive, but there are many more people that have not yet adopted modern workplace scenarios.
Right.
They're still using email attachments, they're still using file shares, they still have their files on their desktop. And I think that's fine, except you don't get the security and protection of OneDrive, your files being safe and secure in the cloud.
Exactly.
I replace devices pretty frequently, and it's great to just be able to sign in and have all your stuff there without spending a lot of time setting it up. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to bring customers into the scenarios that we're building, both in Windows and Office, but also in the places where we've partnered with other teams in the company around some of those experiences. I think there's going to be ongoing opportunities around mobility. Specifically, Apple and Google and Microsoft are developing different mobile capabilities, whether it's VR headsets or mobile phones or watches or wearables. Getting access to your stuff, including your files, being able to collaborate and share on those devices is really key.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll continue to do a lot of work there. And then our work to support our on-premises customers is really critical. A lot of our enterprises have their data in not just in one place. They have some data on-premise.
Right.
They're starting to look at the cloud. A lot of them are really heavily invested in the cloud now.
Absolutely.
But they're managing a real large diversity of users and data and security and compliance
is something
needs.
to fit in, bring your own key,
And so those investments, I think, are really durable for us in that they allow companies to allow us to meet the requirements. And we have a lot of customers, they have a lot of different requirements. And so I think that investment will continue to be an important one for us next year as well.
Let's take it up a level. You're very much a futurist. I love your blog, your Omar Knows blog. You love buying the newest gadgets, newest toys, playing with them, and really seeing, is this something that was just built for the sake of building it, or was there really some thought? In playing with so many different new, from home to everything from coffee makers and all this, what do you pull away from that, and how does that change how you approach engineering and how you have your team do that?
So that really speaks to my core.
Yeah.
I'd say like I'm an extremely curious person, and I like getting in the heads of makers. And at the end of the day, like all these products that we use, whether it's you know, an OXO brush that was thoughtfully designed,
Right.
or a coffee maker, or a Apple Watch, or the latest Samsung phone, or a VR headset. Like I just like understanding the journey.
Yeah.
Like you can look at a product and kind of evaluate it at a point in time. But if you have used it and understood and had an appreciation for where it was, and you can
How it
kind
got
of
there, yeah.
get a
The
sense of
journey.
where it's going.
Yeah.
And so I really like building a sense myself of like, for all these companies that make products, what's their DNA, like what is their strategy, and where are they taking this?
Yeah.
And I think there's just such a diversity of devices and technology out there. Everybody has their own narrative, and it's a dynamic space. Companies get bought, companies go out of
Yeah.
business. Battery technology is getting a lot better.
It is.
Motors are getting a lot smaller. So I just love to kind of participate in that journey. And there's things I haven't even done yet. Like I just ordered a 3D printer because I've never done any of that. I have a GoPro that I just got 2 weeks ago.
There you go.
I like getting into, and I think of those as opportunities too for our products sometimes. Sometimes you don't see the connectivity opportunity or the ecosystem opportunity if you're
Sure.
not using a lot of these things.
Yeah, being able to take a GoPro video, have it directly upload to
Yeah,
OneDrive.
I mean maybe there's
OneDrive,
work
things
we need
like
to
that.
do to make that experience a lot better for GoPro users.
Yeah.
And so that's just important, I think, for the team to have that DNA as well,
Right.
and really understand how their product fits into the ecosystem.
Yeah. But we're ready with 3D printing. You can print right from OneDrive and
I'm
go that
excited
route,
to
which
try.
is
Yeah, I'm
great.
excited to try that out.
Absolutely. So we have customers who are here that are seeing these great sessions that are going, wow, I should be using OneDrive. What would you say to a customer that isn't, that's still using ShareDrive or a competing product? They're going, we're going to go to Windows 10, we're going to go to Office, we're really going to take a look. What would you say to that customer?
I would say I would want to be humble first and like respect that they are using things that work for them, but also try and explain there's just a tremendous amount of value and opportunity in adopting the cloud, both from a security perspective, from insights you get from the data, from anywhere access. And so I think what I'd say is, understand your needs and see where our technology can really help you achieve that next level of collaboration or efficiency, and work with us. Like,
Yeah.
give us the feedback. What are we not doing well? Because I'd say we want your business. Like we want, just like everybody has email and everybody uses email attachments, we really want to make that transition to where everybody has email and OneDrive,
Yeah.
and are frictionlessly sharing content, storing content, and sort of having anywhere access to that.
Awesome. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us today.
Hey, thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thanks everyone, we appreciate it.
Thank
We'll
you.
talk to you soon.